next Click Connect special Friday night audit. Stay tuned. Craig Sullivan, you have got the most amazing shirt I've ever seen in my life. What is that all about?
Hey, that's promoting our other show, 3 Minute Thursday.
Holy shit, dude. What have we done? The mistakes that we're making right now, unbelievable.
We're going to haunt us for years. Are you kidding me?
Craig Sullivan! I'm suffering from the heat in Las Vegas. I don't know what's going on. I'm hallucinating. I feel like this person next to me. This is crazy. I don't know what time it is.
Hey, it's time for a hot audit.
It's going to be a hot one. Everyone, welcome to the one and only Friday Night Audit. I'm Glenn Hausman. That's Craig Sullivan. We got a special guest today, Ronn Nicolli, Chief Marketing Officer here. Oh, and I guess Bruce Ford is here as well. Chief Marketing Officer of Resorts World Las Vegas. Hope you're all having a great time out there. Craig, how are you doing today?
Great, brother. You know, it's good to have you back out on the West Coast. We're in the same time zone. We're not in the same state, but, you know, and it's great to meet Ron. Looking forward to today's show. So how are you?
I'm doing so great. You know why I'm doing great, Craig? Because I'm here at Resorts World Las Vegas, my home away from home. I want to thank Cassidy and Shannon, the entire team over here for taking such great care of me while we get to bring you mediocre content week after week here on the Friday Night Audit. Ron, great to see you, buddy.
Great to see you. Great to see you. Great to have you back here.
Yeah, man. What a gig you have, Chief Marketing Officer of a premier resort on the Las Vegas Strip. That's pretty heady stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm really grateful. You know, I've been here
going
on 5 years. Got here when it was dust and dirt and really got to see the property mature. And honestly, every day's an adventure in a good way.
Yeah, it sure is. That's unbelievable right there, Craig.
Oh, absolutely. Ron, was this the first time being at a resort that was being built from the ground up for you?
Yeah, you know, I got to win Las Vegas very early on in my career. I got there realistically about a month after it opened, and you know, was in a very junior role when they were building Encore, so never really got to be part of that process, right? So coming into this project and really getting to see it from ground up, and I still remember taking the late night construction walks around the campus here as we were inching towards opening. It's just more of a pure excitement. You really get to see something develop.
Yeah, it really
is. Yeah,
which is pretty cool. All right, so before we get into more of the fun conversation, it's time to wish our friend Bruce Ford a happy birthday. I know he's going to be joining us next week, so happy birthday to you, buddy. I know he's the smart one, not paying attention to this show tonight. He sent me a picture. He's on the waterfront right now, having a great time. But Bruce, we wanted to give you this picture because we know how hot this is. Happy birthday, Bruce. That'll be bringing us nightmares. I'm sorry to have done that to you. You don't deserve that. That's what. So let's connect the dots a little bit. A year ago, just a couple of weeks ago, Craig, we did a show over at Flanker, operated by the great folks over at Carver Hospitality. They got Carver Steak over here, and I know you worked with Sean Christie back in the day, who was our guest over there. That, you know, this Las Vegas thing is such a small town, and so that's pretty cool that you got to work with him back in the day, right?
Yeah, no, I got to work with and for Sean over my time at Wynn, and learned a lot from Sean. You know, and it's, again, I think that's probably one of the things I would say is, as I was kind of coming up, the mentors and the people I got to be around.
Yeah, that's really so important to have those people around you. He's a great guy. I recommend checking out Carver Steak over here and Flanker over at Mandalay Bay. Really great products. We had a great show over there. He's such a nice guy. But you've been here so long, you've really seen a whole lot of changes. So when you got here, I'm gonna guess it was in the phase of when the nightclub scene was really exploding, and bottle service was the next big thing.
No, absolutely. You know, I got to Vegas a little over 20 years ago, and I think it was right at that impasse where
Nice.
you know, you had some of these kind of college mature clubs,
Right.
and it was, you know, plastic cups, and then all of a sudden, a lot of the in casino clubs went to the bottle service, right? And it went to what was referenced as European bottle service, and from, you know, the Rio, and, you know, Dre's was one of probably the first ones that was really doing bottle service at the after hours, and it just sparked, right? And I think it had a more mature nature to it. It had something where you're wanting to have almost the real estate and location, and I think it made it a good place, I think, for guys in general and girls to meet.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next year after that is the day club era, I think. And as we were setting up for this,
there we go. Yeah.
Your club right out there is hopping. I saw all these people coming in. What's the scene like these days with the day clubs?
Yeah, you know, day clubs have really become this Vegas unique experience. And when you really think about it, domestically, there's not another major market in the U.S. that really has a day club culture, right? And you can go to European markets and see it, but when you're in the domestic U.S., I think the only place that's doing day clubs to this level is Las Vegas.
Yeah, to this level, absolutely. I think, you know, I'm a New Yorker. I feel like one or two hotels have a pool and try it. Nowhere near the same. It's for people. That's
not even in Miami. I mean, Vegas is the only place that gets that done right.
Well, they've really invented the modern entertainment industry over here. You know, for example, our producer is saying the Houseman Pool House 2.0 will be the next big thing. As a matter of fact, I don't like to brag. We've invested a lot of money at the Houseman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse this summer. I got 2 new rafts for the pool, 2 new floats. So that's pretty
I really thought you were going to say 2 new lounge chairs.
What do you think? I've made money over here, buddy?
not off the revenue we generate on this show.
That's too funny. But the really cool thing is the reason why I'm here actually for this weekend, Craig, is because NBA Summer League is in town, right? And that is like such a cool freaking thing. And like, I thought I was average height, but I'm being reminded what a small human being I am as I walk around this property. I got into an elevator earlier today, and like I looked up, there were like these 6 guys all around me, and it was good. I felt like I was 7 years old again, so that was nice. But other than that,
that's a great position to be in. And you know what, Glenn? Let me ask Ron this. Okay, you've got the Raiders there. You've got the Athletics coming. You've got the Golden Knights, which were founded in Vegas. Now, you got to have an NBA team or an expansion club for the NBA looking at Vegas.
Yeah,
it just makes too much sense to be there. Is that in the works now, or are they still just dealing with getting the stadium done for Major League Baseball at this point?
You know, I got out of here 2 decades ago.
Right.
And I came from a very sports-centric town in Ohio, and when I got out here, there was nothing.
Right, and I would say that the attitude was like, there will never be sports in Las Vegas because that evil sin of gambling. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, we can make money on that? Oh,
it's all been heavily embraced, right? Like, you know, I'll be honest, when the Golden Knights started, and look, they ended up being great, right? But the reality is it was really a social function in the beginning. Mm-hmm. It was something different for someone in the Vegas community as a local to go to, and then it gave casinos something to lure in players, right? Yeah. The Raiders expanded on that, where anytime you go to a Raiders game now, it's 60% the visiting team.
As it should be, because this is Vegas. I mean, nothing personal for any of the Raiders people out there.
No, it's the best place to see your team play away. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. Look, I think the A's coming here, I think is going to be interesting. But like the reality is, I mean, look, if you go back to the great days of UNLV, this was always a basketball community.
Yeah. Yeah. Thomas and Mack is just like right over there.
Right down the street. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I think when the Golden Knights came here, it really was the arrival moment for Las Vegas as a city. It really showed the rest of the United States that this is a premier place to live, not just a vacation and meetings destination.
Yeah, well, that broke the mold.
Yeah,
it
right.
Really did.
Yeah. And I think things changed because initially when the Maloofs opened up the Palms, they owned the Sacramento Kings. And I think the whole thing was with the NBA, and they may have been coming off what wasn't the best all-star game in Vegas. The Maloofs could not have their sports book take bets on the NBA at the time.
Yep.
So once all of that changed, and you're absolutely right. I mean, with the Knights being an expansion team in the NHL, and I know one of the owners, and he's dominated the title insurance industry for decades. He had the bona fides and the rest of the partners to come in there and make that happen. And they changed the culture. They really did. And sports in that town is just the best thing in the world. I think it's great.
Yeah. I think it's really changing the thing. So you think that project across the street-ish about building a new arena might actually happen and bringing the NBA team here?
Look, I think that there's so many whispers of active groups looking to bring an NBA team here, engaging with the NBA, engaging with players like LeBron to bring a team here. It's going to happen. I don't
it's
think,
inevitable.
Yeah. I don't think it's if, I think it's when.
Right.
I mean, look, I'm selfish in the sense is I'd love to see it happen in the next couple of years. I think Vegas is on an amazing boom right now, and I think that's just another layer.
Yeah, it really is. And I was just talking to a president of one of the resorts earlier today, and we were talking about how everyone thought 2019 was great, but now we are like those numbers aren't even coming close to what's been going on in this city. I think you guys are at 4 years straight of $1 billion plus months for table drop, for example.
Wow.
Hotel room rates, and good for you guys. Not so good for me. Up 50% since 2019, for example. So this city is rocking and rolling on all cylinders. And the sports thing is just, I think, one element of what's changing right now. You made a great point when you said people are going to come and see those games. People are going to come here and see those concerts. People are going to come here and have their experiences. I was joking around with my friends that I could go see plenty of concerts in New York, right? But I always come here now to see these concerts because it's just so much more fun and so much more interesting and so much more exciting to see a sporting event or a concert in the city.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, you're layering experiences on top of the entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Like it becomes a place that people seek out, right? Like if you look, the Sphere is amazing. I think that's such a unique thing.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of questions coming into it. I think the questions have been answered. It's one of the best places to actually see a live performance show.
I'm not sure there is a better place to see a live.
No, I think it's so unique.
Yeah.
And the reality was, look, there was skepticism coming into that.
Well, how could there not be? When you're reinventing something, so many people are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Yeah, go on.
Well, and keep in mind that it was all centralized around the spending and the overspending, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the narrative that highly focused from a negative point of view. No one touched on, hey, they're spending an extra $1 billion because the experience is going to be that amazing. It all centralized around they're $1 billion over budget, which I think led the general consumer to think this thing's a bust.
Right.
And then you go and it's just purely amazing.
Well, just so everybody knows, the fact of the matter is a lot of that $1 billion went to the rising costs of goods, services, and labor in the post-COVID
side
world. So they got really stuck in a bad place in a world and a sea of change. But now that it's open, now that it's proven, it's going to be remarkable. And if they could get another one open in the Middle East or Asia somewhere, that's when you're going to really see the benefits of it, because you could have bands just do one set of computer programming and play from other places in the world.
Right.
Which I think that's still the only downside is that lead time, right?
Yeah.
It's not a place you can plug and play, right? It's not taking the touring show into a place like T-Mobile and just plugging in.
No, I mean, I went to go see the Fish shows in April at Sphere, and they were doing things in June. They started doing the programming. So if you want to put together something serious, it's serious. But that's not really what we're talking about here today. What we're really talking about is here how the city has changed so much and how you are able to leverage all of those changes, right? Because I think there used to be a mindset here in Las Vegas 20 years ago that you got to keep people in the building, period. Right now it's more like, let's get people to the city and then we're going to stay in our hotel, use our restaurants. But if they want to see a show at Sphere, you'll be very happy. I see a lot of Dead and Company shirts here today, for example. You'd be very happy to host those people here. So how are you thinking about integrating experiences both on the property, outside the property, with getting folks excited to be at this hotel?
Well, it starts, I always look at it starts Vegas first, right? Like, what are we doing collectively as a city and as property leaders to get people to Vegas, right? Because that's first and foremost, because I think a lot of times people lose sight in the sense that Vegas is competing against other marketplaces. And especially when you look at the summer period, because I think people are seeking out travel that sometimes isn't even domestic travel, right? So on top of domestic markets like Miami, New York, LA, San Diego, where are very interesting as travel destinations, we now have to essentially compete with out of market when it comes to travel, and then out of market events, right? And I think that becomes the challenge. First and foremost, Vegas has to be represented in a way where it's global, but domestic in the same sense, where we have the ability to appeal to so many audience demographics that we can find something to, quote unquote, keep you entertained and keep you kind of stimulated by the offering.
Yeah. So how are you thinking about that with your client base here? So who would you say is your core customer? And I understand that you've got gaming clients, you've got convention clients, you've got transient business and all of that kind of stuff, but you must have an overarching image of what your general customer base is about.
I do, but it's probably one of the broadest demo sets of any resort in the world, right? Because I have so many different offerings here that essentially can create an element of appeal. Like, I came from a property I worked at for over a decade that was highly focused on luxury, and that was the only consumer we were chasing. And the reality was, if you were going to cultivate that consumer, it was normally at another property, and then you waited for them to potentially grow in to a disposable income level to then engage with your brand.
Yeah, right.
Here, when I look at 3 hotel products,
and just the Hilton, Conrad, Crockford's,
it really gives me this broad diversity. Like, I always tell the story. I'm active as a leader on this property. I'm walking around every night. I'm engaging with customers. And I would say it makes me feel great because this ecosystem on this campus, this city within the property that we've created, has so many different diverse customers and consumers, from college kids running around to, billionaires playing in high limits. And they all have the ability to live inside of this world. And remember, this is a beautiful modern luxury property. But then I've got like a sports bar that's connected to a Nashville bar. But then I've got, an award-winning spa. So it's like everything is essentially here where it doesn't create any barriers of entry.
I would recommend the Nashville hot chicken sandwich at the Doghouse, by the way. I had that yesterday.
There you go. How many restaurants do you have on premise, and how many, tables, slot machines are in the resort as well?
So, at restaurant wise, there's over 40. So there's 40 selections when I'm looking at every element of a consumer trying to dine. There's 40 different places that you can.
Anything from Google Man to Carver Steak.
Correct. It's going to be all across. The guys. We've even got Junior's Deli out of New York here now.
Nice.
And as a Brooklyn guy, I appreciate that.
Oh no, it's great. I remember going to New York back in the day and grabbing the cheesecake.
Hey, look at that.
There we go.
A bunch of the restaurants.
Glenn will maybe get me that bagel now.
Keep dreaming.
The casino footprint is big. The casino footprint is big, but it's organized. It's over 100,000 square feet, but it's centralized in the center or the hearth of the property. Everything essentially exits out to it. It's a very easy property to maneuver around. Look, we went against the conventional rules of a casino, right? If you walk around, I got a lot of lights. I've got a lot of natural light. I've got an easy walking path. I've got a lot of entrance and exits. We really thought about how do we modernize the consumer journey.
Love it.
Not think the archaic way of we want to trap you.
Right. And how do you actually do that without getting stuck in those old habits?
I mean, honestly, it starts with just taking a chance, right? You kind of look at it and say, look, the thing that we always discuss here is like putting yourself in the consumer's point of view, because we're all a consumer at the end of the day, right? Like I travel, and it's hard to, if you're in hospitality, it's hard to turn it off. Like, I'm not going to just turn it off if I'm traveling with my family or if I'm on a business trip. The touch points that I'm looking for that are going to be important to me I always try to relate those back and say, are we accomplishing these touch points on my own property?
Yeah.
Love that.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I love that idea. And I think you're absolutely right. And I like the idea that you're not feeling like you're locked into the building. Open, airy, some daylight. You can walk around. The choices for whether it's gaming or for food and beverage are all there. And I think that's, I know there's a lot of architectural firms that I've dealt with, and they're pretty locked in their ways. So to come in and go, hey, we want to reinvent the wheel, that's a huge step. And kudos to the ownership group and the architects for jumping on board with that to come up with this.
Yeah, well, I would encourage everybody to look back in our show catalog. I did a design show at novacancynews.com. Paul Steelman Associates, they were the architectural firm behind this. Paul Steelman is very, very rooted in casino design. They've done any property in the world that's got any significance. He did it. He started out, as a junior working and helped build Mirage, and has gone on to build incredible property.
I saw that show. It was one of your better
ones.
And
I would recommend you seeing that, because this hotel was born out of the framework of another property that was supposed to be here called Echelon Place, but that cratered in 2008 or 9, give or take a few months on that. And then Genting came in and created what we have here today. So it was interesting that you had some rules you had to play by, because you had some structure, and then you were able to create everything else around it to really meet the modern audiences. And having just celebrated your 3rd anniversary, congratulations on that. That was about 3 weeks ago. You're really at the forefront and one of the younger properties here in town. So you have a lot of good benefits. But having all those different consumer groups, is it helpful? Is it a hindrance? Does it make it really confusing for you to segment it and market to a lot of different things? How do you make sense of it all and find success through that?
Strategy becomes important, right?
Yeah.
Because the other reality is you can't be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
So you have to essentially focus on strategy. Like I always talk about marketing language, right?
Yeah.
Like you are needing to communicate written and visually to these different consumer segments,
right,
in order to create curiosity and capture. Because if I'm trying to use old terminologies,
right,
of let's fish with dynamite, right? Back in the day, casinos would send out broad email blasts, right? And I used to say, to me, it was throwing a stick of dynamite into the lake and seeing what floated to the top. And now that's dead. That's
I would disagree with you. Not in casinos. Hey, everyone who is a CEO of a major hotel company, close your ears for this one. The hotel companies haven't figured it out yet. I still get blasted.
Glenn said that. I didn't.
Hey, listen, check out all of my high tech coverage from 2 weeks ago, and I continue to ask the question: when are you going to actually know who I am and how you could appeal to me? And I still don't understand how in this business y'all got this figured out. You understand your customers, and they can't. But hopefully, as technology continues to move forward, they'll be able to adopt that and be successful. But so you're getting real close. What? Sorry, Craig, you were going to say?
I was going to say it was funny that you brought that up, because I had somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn, and they said, "Here, we could generate leads for you, this, that, and the other thing."
Right.
So typically it goes right into junk mail. Okay, whether it's on the email or LinkedIn. This one I decided to reply to, and I said, "Look, I'm not on the deal side anymore. I've never worked ops. Don't care to work ops. But hey, if you can help me build the attendees for my conference every year, then we may have something to talk about." And automatic radio silence from the other side.
That's the best way to shut them up, is to respond to them. All right, so back to your consumer set. I love that you're able to appeal to all these different groups. With 3 different hotel products, 3 different price categories, 3 different sets of expectations, you're really able to put together a nice varied group of people. So when you're thinking about programming the resort, how do you think about restaurant partners and if folks that are going to have retail in the district area, for example, that play into one or more of those groups so that everyone can find profitability?
No, absolutely. And you touched on something that was key there. are these groups, but there's obviously, I always look at it like kind of visually in my mind, it's circles,
Right.
And there's overlaps, right? So some of these consumer audience overlap. And when I look at it from a parallel perspective, when we're looking at business opportunities, it's identifying the brand and then breaking down the brand. So first and foremost, does any brand coming into this property fit the overall brand identity of Resort World, right? Because at the end of the day, the sum of the whole or the brands underneath the brand are what's really driving Resort World. Like I always tell people, this building is not a living, breathing thing. It's the people that are inside of it. It's the team members, it's the consumers, but the communication between the two of them is what is essentially creating that brand message. So it becomes important anytime we're speaking to someone to say, do they fit inside this world? Are they appealing to singular or a multiple consumer set underneath the campus?
Right. Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about then how you're appealing to different groups, right? And connecting to them. Let's start with, us older guys. How are you thinking about people that are of a certain age, as they say, in their like 50s and 60s, for example? And then tell us how you're appealing towards people online out there in their 20s. Hey, easy now.
Well, again, I think the cores are there, right? Yeah. If you're coming to Vegas, you're going to be interested in, first and foremost, a room product.
Right.
You're potentially going to want to know about entertainment, but depending on your age, I'm probably shifting a little bit to push you to some of my theater entertainment, than the nightclub entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably hit you with some of the more refined lounges on the property.
Right.
If it's Crystal, Alley, 8 Cigar Lounge. And then again, looking at amenities that might be important to you. If it's the spa, if it's the fitness center, if it's any of our connected partnerships for things outside of the footprint. And again, just trying to refine that message, because look, if I'm sending you an email and every week I'm sending you communication that's talking about, Dead Mouse being at Zoo.
Right. But I'm more of your Kevin Hart Sunday demographic,
And the truth is, you may not even know who Dead Mouse is.
True. Right. I do know who Lil Wayne is, though. Tonight
we got him tonight. That's actually, that's actually a huge show for us.
I can't even believe that. And you had T-Pain last night, right?
T-Pain was last night, Lil Wayne tonight. And when I tell you, look, last night was Thursday night. And when I walked around the property last night, I was doing kind of a property walk before I left about 1 a.m.
Right.
I walked by the nightclub and it felt like it was a Saturday night over there.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Wow. And tonight's looking to pace even better. So I think it's going to be.
I can't.
Right.
So that's pretty amazing. So how do one of those things work? The artist like T-Pain or Lil Wayne comes on like midnight-ish or something like that, maybe 1.
It's funny. Everyone tries to push it later. You get a live performance act in a club. They're starting after 2.
After 2
a.m.
Really? Okay.
I didn't realize it was that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't either.
A DJ, like an EDM style DJ, is going to go on traditionally as a headliner, probably between 1 to 1:30. Anyone who's a live performance piece is going to be 2 to 2:30 start time.
Wow. Well, that does make a whole lot of sense. And if I think back to how I used to live my life in my 20s, for example, it makes perfect sense, right?
Hey, I'm looking to crawl back to the room at 5 a.m. Okay, so
listen, the one thing I don't understand what the young people do these days is how they can go to the day club all day long and then go to the nightclub at night and survive that. I mean, they deserve medals for that sort of.
I think they're built different. Because
they're definitely built different.
Yeah, well, in my prime, we didn't have the day club thing, so I never had to worry about that.
No, you went to the pool to relax, have a few cocktails, and the waitresses and the lifeguard would kind of keep an eye on you on Fridays, beginning of summer, a little more so than typically, because people were drinking, and I remember the Palms had this Ditch Fridays.
Yeah, I remember Ditch.
People were going over there. Let's throw down a few cocktails, and different era.
Yeah, I think Rehab probably the former Hard Rock is the one that created a template for all of this. And I had a great time one night at the nightclub part that they had over there. I got to see Snoop over there. That was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, Rehab was really the one that started it, to be honest, because that was it. But like I remember people would I don't want to say save up, but they would almost like save their energy for it. And you'd have customers that would call it a little early on Saturday night because they knew
Right.
they were going to rehab on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday. That's fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
God.
seriously, for people who don't know Las
Yeah.
Vegas history, that was insane. They were making
Yeah.
$1 million on a Saturday afternoon when $1 million was real money. You know? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty incredible. So again, that takes us back to how the city is changing and stuff like that. So when you're planning your marketing and stuff like that, you have to keep very much up on the trends, what's going on. So
Absolutely.
where are we right now? What are the trends that you're seeing out there, and where are you thinking the next big excitement's going to be?
I mean, I gotta be honest. I'm big on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, and again, I think I think that social media is doing interesting things
Right.
on the way we're segmenting audience groups. I think
Yeah.
Facebook is speaking to a specific consumer.
I
think
agree.
Instagram is speaking to a specific consumer.
Yep.
I think TikTok is speaking to your future consumer. I think
Mhm.
that consumer is maturing.
Right.
And with that, I do think that there is segmented sets between Instagram and TikTok that this influencer category is actually really creating revenue paths now,
Mhm.
where people are seeing someone
Okay.
that has quote unquote influence. And I think that's a true term.
It is.
And they're creating human action, and I think even 5-10 years ago, we were looking at influencers in the sense of even travel bloggers, right?
Mhm.
And they were showing you something, and it was informational, and it was things that were getting you excited.
Right.
Now it's so weaponized in a positive way that I think we're watching and intaking the content that these people are putting out, and it's aspirational, and it's also making us want to participate,
Yeah.
which is great. And that's something that
Yeah.
we're really leaning into at the property. Like I gotta be honest, I may have this weekend alone, I think I've got probably 30 to 40 influencers staying with us,
What?
on top of 6 NBA teams, on top of the entertainment staying at the property, on top of the biggest influencer in the world, who I can't say his name, has actually been staying with
I'm right
us.
here.
But all of this, in most cases,
That was
in-
good, Glenn.
Thank
in a
you.
sense, is marketing, right?
Yeah.
I'm intaking all of these impressions around my brand that's still in a sense of being mature in a domestic marketplace. And all these people are here, and their actions, even the ones that are organic, independent, are helping to build this brand.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. Yeah, Craig.
I'm going to say, Ron, let me ask you a question. How do you monitor all of this? What size of team do you have looking at all of these different pages and platforms to make sure that they're getting the message right? And not everybody's going to get it right. So there's always going to be those other conversations. But it seems to me that's got to be a 20 to 30 person gig, just watching all the social media platforms to make sure that the messaging is getting out right and in a timely manner. Am I right or wrong on that?
I mean, there is a strong digital team, but I've got one guy who essentially oversees the entire influencer program for the property.
Wow.
And his name's Kobe, and he's amazing. But what he's doing is he's
Thank
getting
God. I thought you were going to tell me it was Glenn Hausman.
Go on.
No, but he makes a direct line of communication. He greets them, he checks them in. So he's having this kind of artist relation style entertainment
interesting.
touch to it,
Yeah.
right? So now he's got a direct line of communication. So he's developing a friendship in a real way, because
Right.
genuinely he wants them to have a good time at the property.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If they have a good time at the property, then they're going to be able to showcase the property in the way that shows the property in the way that you'd like it to be.
Absolutely. And I have a lot of guys that repeatedly come back.
Yeah.
Like we've got these relationships now where a lot of influencers that have stayed here already and they love the property, they're reaching out and saying, hey, I'm coming back in October. Is there any way I can come back again?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've had a few people that'll
There you
do
go.
content pieces. So that's the ultimate goal, right?
Right.
Like,
So what are the types of influencers that you're attracting here? Are they Vegas specific? Are they travel specific? Are they in other lifestyle categories?
oh, it's all across
Yeah.
the board. And the other thing that I've been doing too is I've been finding interesting content
Mhm.
on platforms like TikTok. And if somebody's in a health and wellness or fitness space, I was doing a shoot for our gym and spa.
Right.
I had my team reach out and say, hey, let's put her in the ad.
Uh-huh.
And then we had
Nice.
my boy who does food content. We had him come in and fill up segments for the restaurants.
Right.
And that was kind of like, again, we're seeking out, because you've got all different ones. You've got ones that are concentrating on lifestyle, ones that are fitness and wellness, ones that are food or beverage focused. and really trying to have this broad array of putting them into here and saying, hey, do your thing. Treat this as a canvas. Like, let's have some fun, right? And we're not overly structuring it, right? A lot of times people will set these influencer programs where they're like, you need to post this, you need to do that.
Yeah.
What I feel, show them a good time,
Right.
Have some organic touch points that are going to be interesting, make them feel at home. And guess what? There's now a genuine nature to it. It's not forced.
Right. Well, as a matter of fact, there's this one major entertainment company out there that they're influencers. They basically treat them as employees and tell them what they must do. And all the employees go, yes, yes, yes. Well, all the influencers do that. And it's now catching up to that company in the modern media where everyone's calling them shills, and they've done a lot of harm to their brand, a lot of other reasons, but in this one way, they've really harmed their brand. So I think what your approach is, show them a good time and let them do their thing, is really the right way to go.
That organic growth is absolutely crucial. That authenticity and being an organic matter that either Glenn turns on or I do or one of our producers and go, hey, look at this. You could do this. Glenn put out a great video, I think a month or two ago now, on behind the scenes with all the chefs and cooking and getting everything done at a resort. That was absolutely brilliant. And it's I recommend everybody check that out. And Ron, you might want to look at that. He could do the same thing for you guys for sure. And
I have another
you don't have to pay me for that.
Greg, I got another idea. I got to pitch to this guy later, but that's not for on air.
Yeah.
But I totally lost my train of thought. Thank you, Craig.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about TikTok and stuff like that, one of the things that struck me was you're talking about future consumers. So how do you appeal to young consumers that may be under 21 without appealing to consumers that are under 21 because they can't really gamble or drink?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a tricky space there, right? Because obviously as a casino resort,
you don't want to go all Joe Camel.
No, we're not necessarily trying to engage with a sub 21 group isn't doing anything for Vegas right now. I will say that
tell that to the Adventure Dome.
I always look at this. If you ever want to see the heaviest or the largest future consumer database that comes to Las Vegas, it's EDC.
Yeah,
EDC. You can come
Electric Daisy Carnival.
Buy a ticket at 18 years old, and a lot of senior trips will even plan post-graduation to come to EDC.
Right.
So now you have an 18-year-old consumer making their way to Las Vegas. They're driving by every casino. They're seeing every billboard for every piece of entertainment. And then they're spending 3 days out at the racetrack experiencing their first version of Vegas with aspirations. Hey, 2 years, 3 years from now, when I'm 21, I'm coming back. So, and the reality is that the city has finally started to embrace EDC.
Yeah, it has. This is the first year I felt like they're like, all right, we're all in.
Right. And keep in mind, I have hotel EDC here. We've done it the last 2 years. Pasquale and Harvey Cohen are amazing partners. And I love the fact that it's here because I look at that being a consumer that can mature over time. And I'm hoping that they're having such a great time that I have consumer loyalty building.
All right. I love that idea. But is it tough to sell in the sense that the casino may not do as well that weekend, the bars may not do as well, and the restaurants may not do as well because they're all at the racetrack? So how do you negotiate that?
Well, here's the thing. Obviously, that's I would say when I'm sitting in a room and we're looking at it from a traditional sense, and there's going to be someone in the room that is going to, from an opinion perspective, is going to try to dissect that consumer. Right. That's what they're going to say. My counter to that is EDC does about 180,000 people a day. Right. Why don't we back? We're going back to the pond. Why don't we fish where the fish are? Right. That's the customer that's in town. So I can either be the home of the customer that's here and hope that I can mature that. Right. Or I can try to shy away and then essentially watch everyone else pick apart at that.
Right. Let's jump on it now and bring those people in when they get old enough. I love it. I love it. How about, you guys had one hell of a run with F1. All accounts, it seems to have been a major success. What's the plan for version 2? You guys are going to adapt, make some other changes. You're going to improve things. What are your feelings on that? And that clientele is certainly different than the National Rodeo.
Mhm.
And is that still the biggest, event?
I would say I just want to throw something in and then you answer. I think they are the biggest clientele because they're still selling Formula One T-shirts in the gift shops and not rodeo shirts. So that'll be my
Interesting.
answer. Yeah. So how do you see it?
I mean, look, the popularity of F1 right now,
Yeah.
I think that when you look at it, it's a global consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I think it's bringing a European and a Middle Eastern consumer to look at Vegas again.
Right.
I love the fact that this season is more competitive. Max isn't just crushing everyone. So I'm hoping that we get to Vegas and there's something on the line, right?
Yeah.
Look, I would say this. Us personally, I can speak for Resort World. We learned a lot from F1 last year. We learned even more from our success with Super Bowl.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that we did during Super Bowl that now we're trying to put into this year's F1.
Yeah.
And again, like the team here, we've got an amazing team. I'm in probably 4 or 5 F1 meetings a week.
What?
Just strategy because we want to activate this entire property with elements of F1.
Yeah.
We sit in a disadvantage with not being on the track,
right?
But then we also are in an advantage of not being on the track,
right?
So as we look at that and play more to the glass is half full, how do we ensure that a consumer coming here has a connected feeling to what's going on at the race and has elements and activations around this property they can get excited about?
Not being on the course itself, are you guys buying like an entire section of seats and boxes and paddock passes and shuttling people back and forth, or is it close enough to walk? I haven't seen the track. I mean, I saw it on television and it looked absolutely amazing. And I'm hoping F1's going to allow Michael and Mario Andretti in because I think that just boosts everything, especially considering Mario is a past F1 champion and what him and his family have done in IndyCar racing.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's all of the above you just said. Like we last year we had a few different locations that sat on the track footprint, from paddocks to skyboxes to grandstand tickets. This next year we're looking at some different placing. We've got one placing that we're going to partner up with. It's going to be a little bit more centralized to the property that's going to be on the track. We've got some experiences we're going to build out at the property. I've got an amazing rooftop that sits about 6 stories up. Minimal visibility of the track, but I'm going to position that as a viewing party. And we've got a restaurant group potentially coming in to partner with us.
That's really
exciting. Does that mean big screens and indoor-outdoor access on the rooftop?
Yeah, it does. Really looking at potentially large LED screens, really having a great audio footprint. Like I said, bringing in this amazing hospitality group to help support us and making it almost our own paddock off the track, so to speak.
Oh,
right.
That's
yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I used to go to the Long Beach Grand Prix, which obviously was kart and all of that.
Obviously,
way back when. Well, it's not F1. I mean, they tried it for 2 years and then it went away. Yeah. It was too expensive. But the city of Long Beach always had a hospitality suite in the convention center there. And they'd have big screens in there. They'd have food and beverage, and they'd have people be able to escort you over to their seats, whether they were at the start-finish line or in the paddock. And it was always a great experience.
Yeah, well, good for you. I'm a little jealous of that. Let me tell you.
I'd rather see F1. I'll tell you.
I know. All right. So I know that this property continues to evolve over time, as every property should, as trends change, as you understand how customers want to use the property. I love that you have the vegan restaurant over here, for example. I think that was a very bold move, but a move that was well reasoned, because I think culture is ready finally for a restaurant like that.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, Tal Ronan is probably the best chef in the world when it comes to plant-based cuisine. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize he did a lot of the menus and the plant-based and vegan options for the Wynn for over a decade.
Oh, wow.
Prior to him coming over here to do the restaurant. And look, Tal's a good friend.
Yeah.
I remember going to his restaurant in LA after we had signed the deal here, and it's a Sunday and it's about to open, and there's a line around the block.
Wow.
And the food is phenomenal. And keep in mind, I'm a I am a steak and potatoes guy. So, you know, going in and trying it. And honestly, now it's one of my favorite restaurants.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. You're also redeveloping the property out back and building more of like an events area. So the big tents are set up and stuff, right?
We are actually the tent structure right now. So we call it the complex.
Yeah.
That's really what we're looking for. Any festivals. I think the footprint can go up to scale up to about 20,000. Right now, I got 6 NBA teams that are using 2 courts that we put in there.
Cool.
To practice for summer league, and actually I think I've got an influencer basketball game that's going to happen there at 4 p.m. today. So
that's pretty cool.
Really, just multiple use of that space, and really, look, we've got a big campus. A lot of people realize I got 99 acres. We've developed 60 some of them. We've got a third of this footprint that's still going to be developed.
Yeah, I mean, the original plan had another couple of hotels as part of the complex.
Correct.
You have plenty of square footage out there.
Right. You know, it's like if you look what the chairman and the family have done over the last few generations in Malaysia up at Genting Highlands, we got about 11,000 rooms up there.
Wow.
You know, we get 70,000 visitors a day. We've got 300 food and beverage outlets. So I think the conceptualization and inspiration was always to grow this footprint to have a similarity.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing that as it develops. So what's the next big trend in Vegas?
Next trend, wow. You know, it's funny. You know, when you think of Vegas and how it continues to evolve from gaming and entertainment to the culinary arts to now sports. Yeah. You know, it's tough. You know, you look at it from a metropolitan cultural perspective. The only thing that we're still lacking on is, I would say, the kind of fashion and arts. Right. I think that's the area where it's not yet got there. It's funny. I'm actually working with the guys from Miami Swim Week. Right. And in August, they're going to do a pop-up swim week here with us. Cool. I'm hoping that that's the next step in really legitimizing almost a fashion week in Vegas, because I think that could be an interesting element. And even though a lot of these casinos have galleries, like, art has not necessarily blown up in that sense. I would argue that it's time for a comeback. They tried really hard when Venetian first opened. They have a gallery that closed. When Bellagio had a gallery that closed. So they were really trying hard to bring really great art here. But I think in that era, it was still an old school visitor mindset that wasn't ready for that. Now I think that you're getting a much more, for lack of a better word, cosmopolitan audience coming here. That's probably more ready for that kind of art. Absolutely. You know, like, I always look at things that are coming to the States that are maybe going to like the museum in New York, right? Like, and I always question why Vegas isn't chasing these things. Like, we have, you know, some of the highest, you know, tourist population of anywhere in the world. Yeah. So the ability to put these pop-ups in or to have these experiences here. And again, look, we've done, I would say, the things that are called shareable art, right? A lot of the ice cream museum type of concepts have come through here. But I think it's time to really revisit the idea of true art program in Las Vegas. Yeah. Awesome. I love that idea. Yeah, Craig, got anything else for this guy, or should we?
I got one more question. Now, San Francisco is still at about 40% of what its Asia Pacific travel was prior to the pandemic. How are you guys with that? Is that back in its entirety? Is it still off? Are the numbers climbing? Are they holding? What's happening there?
No, it actually isn't back. And again, look, when we opened this property, I think pre-pandemic, the expectation was that the Genting Group has such an amazing name in the Asian continent that was going to be a core foundational for this property. The original design of this property was also very much geared towards that design as well. But then that changed. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, you know the thing that gets me excited, though? Yeah. We haven't had that customer, and we've had such amazing success. And I know that customer is coming back.
Good point. Good point.
As that customer starts to travel again, and again, I think it's happened, but it is not at that 100% maturity. Yeah. I think that what gets me excited is the team here has done such an amazing job of growing our consumers and growing loyal consumers to this brand, that once we layer that in, I think sky's the limits. And I would say, if you want to learn a little bit more about what's going on with the Japanese consumer in particular, I did a show on No Vacancy Live this week with Peter Shanlin, COO of Halekulani Corporation, where we talk all about that. So check that show out in our catalog.
And you're going to Japan soon.
I'm never getting to Japan, it seems like. This will be my 5th summer trying
to gas up the jet, Glad I'll take you.
All right. Yeah, whatever. I'll tell you, every once in a while when I'm staying at that other hotel all the way at the end of the south side, the south side of the strip, and you see all the jets that fly from Macau over to here, I keep dreaming I'll just hop on one of those and just sneak on over, you know?
I just thought you said you were going to go to Benihana's. That's all. Ron, this has been an absolute pleasure. Anytime you want to come back on the show, please give us a shout. This is
Thank you guys for having
great
me.
information. Thank you.
Truly grateful you guys spent the time with me.
Thank you. This was really awesome. All right, I'm going to get out of here because I've got an awesome Las Vegas casino resort to go enjoy and explore. We'll see you next week right back here.
Bye, everybody.
Friday Night Audit. See you all later. Bye.
Bye.